Rom-com seems to be the genre with the least flexibility, because the appeal of rom-com is that the audience know exactly what they are getting.
Two incompatible people are trapped in some funny mission or situation, forcing them to spend time with each other and ultimately fall in love, happily after, blah blah blah. The audience come for the experience. It's hard to twist anything in this genre. Everything seems so formulaic, but yet one director dared to challenge this status quo more than once. He's the one and only Johnnie To. In the Criteria collection, Johnnie To is described as a prolific and masterful stylist. I would dare to go even further and introduce him as one of the most subversive directors alive. He always liked to twist and bend the genre archetypes. His action movies and thrillers like Running Out of Time, Running on Karma, Trial Election all start like a standard blockbuster. But when it arrives at the midpoint, things always twist toward a direction that is beyond the audience's imagination. He has made some of the most interesting rom-coms, but today we are going to focus on My Left Eye Sees Ghost and Yesterday Once More. Otherwise, this video will be more than 5 hours long. Both films are directed by the same director. The structure and even the plot twists are similar. But in my opinion, My Left Eye Sees Ghost worked perfectly, yet Yesterday Once More not as well. What distinguished them from one another?
Let's begin with comparing the setup of the movie. In My Left Eye Sees Ghost, the movie starts with a funeral. In the following scenes, we learn that the protagonist inherits her late husband's mansion, but she doesn't know what to do and is always bombarded by her mother-in-law and her late husband's ex-girlfriend. Now, most of us don't have a mansion nor own a company, but the way director Johnnie To set up the movie makes us feel for her. We don't necessarily agree on what she's doing, yet most of us might have experienced something similar. After all, many of us have some relatives that we don't want to deal with. Now, there are jokes in the beginning of the movie, but the overall atmosphere is kind of sad and dark, which helps to establish the theme of the movie, which is dealing with grief. That helps the audience to position themselves for what might come next. On the other hand, Yesterday Once More kind of failed in this regard. The protagonists in this movie are Mr. To and Mrs. To, starring as a billionaire couple, but they are addicted to robbery. The movie starts with them successfully stealing another pile of jewelry. Mr. To wants to share it 50-50. Mrs. To insists she wants more. Then Mr. To asks her if she chose him or the jewelry. Mr. To immediately chose the jewelry. Then Mr. To replies that she chose divorce and will be hearing from his lawyer. In this first scene here, unlike My Left Eye Sees Ghost, we don't feel anything for the protagonist. The couple is rich, they steal and get away with it. Mr. To filed for divorce because Mr. To chose jewelry over him. Why would anyone watching would feel for this arrogant spoiled couple? Now let's compare the emotional journey of both films.
In My Left Eye Sees Ghost, after the setup her late husband Doc also dies. We see the protagonist is so depressed and starts drunk driving and crashes her car. She gains the ability to see ghosts and start an entire sequence of screaming and yelling. After all the chaos, it is finally revealed that the ghost she can see is actually her primary school classmate. The film took a lot of time to build the character of the protagonist. The first half of the movie doesn't advance the story but really dive into the character's emotion, especially with the background music. There's something about the music, tragic but light-hearted.
Things don't really kick off until the protagonist's greedy father arranged a posthumous marriage for her ghost classmate. The bride ghost is a fat, ugly ghost that wants to possess the protagonist. The protagonist agrees to let her possess for a minute, but the ghost possesses her body for an hour and doesn't want to let go. Her ghost classmate has no choice but sacrifice himself by crashing into the temple, nearly getting himself vanished from the world. After gaining trust with the protagonist, the ghost classmate spends time with her and seems to be heading for light-hearted rom-com territory. The ghost classmate not only flirt and messing around with the protagonist, but also bring her dogs and flowers, just to make her happy. It's really well crafted because the movie follows the character's emotion and becomes more cheerful and funnier when the protagonists start to get better during the grieving process. What started out as kind of a depressive tone gradually evolves into a light-hearted rom-com territory. Yet the emotional core is somehow kept throughout the movie. During the story, we also learn that she met and married her late husband on a holiday without knowing her husband is a billionaire. Despite everyone questioning her, she really loved her late husband. She is generally sad, and everything throughout the movie is dealing with grief. Even the antagonist, Fredbride Ghost, which repeatedly haunts the protagonist's family, is struggling with grief, not ready to move on. I think this is what made the movie work for me. The plot is quite simple and light-hearted, and no matter how funny those jokes are, the entire process is ultimately about one thing: moving on. In contrast, in Yesterday's Once More, the plot and structure are extremely complicated like Christopher Nolan movies, which hurt the audience brain just to think about what the hell is happening. After meeting the characters in such a bizarre divorce at the beginning of the movie, the next scene the plot fast forward a year, Mr. Stowe gets engaged with another billionaire because she is attracted to a piece of jewelry which belongs to the mother of this very billionaire. She knows if she marries him, she can have the jewelry. Then when the new fiance's mother delivers the jewelry to her, the jewelry was intercepted and robbed from broad daylight. Mr. Stowe immediately suspects Mr. Toe, then engage in a cat and mouse game with him, which for most part feels like a screwball comedy. We see how the couple reconnect and steal more jewelry, more wine together. Most of the time it is really funny, they were all very sweet and romantic. It feels like a standard rom-com in the middle, just mixed up with some action movies element. In no way that the movie set up or prepared the audience that the movie would potentially turn dark. Especially suddenly Mr. Toe and Mr. Stowe both claim they are dying. It turns dark out of nowhere. In My Left Eye Sees Ghosts, the melodramatic moment makes sense because we all knew from the beginning the protagonist lost her husband. Here in Yesterday Once More, we only learn the main theme after the plot twist. The melodramatic sequences were quite weak in comparison. Only in the last few sequences, we learn that Mr. Toad divorced Mr. Stowe because he got life-threatening cancer and he didn't want her to worry. He still loves her and only intercepts the jewelry because he can't stand Mr. Stowe marrying others only for the jewelry. He gives her all the wealth and hides in Italy waiting for his death. The movie ends with Mr. Stowe can't find Mr. Toe, so she announces another marriage, forcing another robbery, but by the time this happens, Mr. Toe is already dead. He hired a look-alike actor in advance to act like him in the robbery. Mr. Stowe sees the actor at a distance and is convinced it was Mr. Toe. Mr. Stowe claims she has found the thing she loves and cancels the engagement. In My Left Eye Sees Ghost, we know that the protagonist is hanging around with a ghost. So even if we were actively not thinking about it, the subconscious would acknowledge that a romance between human and ghost would probably end in a heartbreak. Therefore, when we arrive near the ending, when the ghost classmate announces he needs to leave and goes on to live his new life, we all felt this would probably happen at some point because, well, he is a ghost after all. The plot twist also works within the established theme. The protagonist at last pulls all the clues together and figures out that the ghost was her late husband all along. The husband did that because in the afterlife he learned who her next love interest is going to be. So he disguises himself as her next love interest, all to help her prepare for her new journey. However, it's too late. Her husband already went to his next life. She can't tell her she knows what he was doing all along. The most genius part of it are the dogs. The dogs her husband brought her actually belongs to her next love interest. The level of detail is just superb. Both plot twists seems very similar, but in My Left Eye Sees Ghosts, it connected with the main theme of dealing with grief. The twist is only who was helping the protagonist all along. In Yesterday Once More, the twist changed the context of everything that was happening in the movie and suddenly turned a cat and mouse upbeat heist rom-com into a melodrama, which is way harder for the audience to buy the story. After the Yesterday Once More, Johnnie To never did another big plot twist in his rom-com movies. In fact, he barely did rom-com at all. Following Yesterday Once More, his following projects were Election, Child Election, Exiled, and Mad Detective. All were either action movies or thrillers with the same subversive approach. I think the reason is that it's so difficult to inject a surprising and functional plot twist within the limitation of the rom-com genre. There's no room for experiment, while in an action movie you can have more than 1000 acceptable ways to end the story. It is also much easier to set up a surprising ending. However, Johnnie To didn't entirely give up on the genre. In 2011, he made Don't Go Breaking My Heart and its sequel, Don't Go Breaking My Heart 2, in 2014. By then, he has already evolved into a masterful storyteller. Their two movies are masterclass of filmmaking. They follow standard rom-com genre with a few twists. But that's another case study for another day.